YT say this is a bike whereby you can bend gravity to your will. Clearly not such an easy thing to do, but whoever created this bike designed it to be good at descending. And whilst they were clearly not exactly chasing any weight or power numbers with this bike, what they were chasing was pleasure. Just pure downhill riding pleasure. The Decoy SN, folks. If you're looking for a EMTB downhill bike that gives you traction and support, then look no further. A bike that truly gives you confidence downhill. Yes, confidence and composure to cut loose. But how exactly? Well, naturally, or should we say, it's the supernatural stuff. Agility through excellence in suspension design, silence to enable focus on the trail, balance through geometry, and a frame that is neither too stiff nor too supple. It sounds so simple. Oh, and let's not forget the Fazua Ride 60 drive unit with a 430 watt-hour battery and a motor that offers 60 Nm of torque. Now, whilst numbers are not the holy grail, we should nevertheless respect numbers such as the head tube angle, the bottom bracket height, the chainstay length, and then the progression, the leverage rate, anti-rise, anti-squat, and instant centre. YT have agonised over numbers like that. You see, I think that this particular story needs a bit of history. Welcome to the famous, to the infamous Ostrich pub. Believe it or not, this place has got so much YT history. Very late nights, lock-ins, bike chat. Definitely good times for sure. Now, YT were one of the first direct-to-consumer bike brands, and in a short space of time, they've made some exceptional bikes. They've certainly challenged conventions along the way. And I rode many of their downhill bikes in the early days. The 2S, a bike characterized by great suspension, geometry, and a killer price. I went to visit founder Marcus Flossman, Stefan Willerud, and the team very early on. It's actually 10 years now since YT launched their first carbon bike, the Capra. These are some shots of me riding on the Sugar Trail in Israel. Now, this bike is very much the evolution of the Capra. It's the Decoy SN, SN standing for supernatural, 160, 170 mil travel. It comes in a fine line of Decoy bikes. We've got the Decoy Enduro, which is 160, 170 mil, 29, 27.5, and the Decoy All Mountain, which is 145, 150 mil travel, 29-inch wheels front and rear. This bike, 20 kilos, Fazua Ride 60, and comes in 5 sizes and 3 component specifications. Now, the component spec on all these bikes is simply built for menacing riding. And finally, we've got the 430 watt-hour battery on the bike, which is actually one of the best performers out of the low torque bikes. Thank you, Sophia. Now, as much as we've had some great times in this pub, there's a serious side to this story as well. After all, what do YT exactly know about downhill? Well, quite a lot, in fact. Now, I'm trying to remember the sequence of events. I know at the time that YT were winning downhill bike tests with media around the world, but what they truly needed was a World Cup downhill racer.
So you two then, I hear that you've got a bike that's going to win the World Cup, hopefully.
Oh my goodness, knocking on wood. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, we have to. We have to.
So the competition's pretty good, is it? But yours is better.
Yes, exactly. Ours is better, and with the support of the Ostrich here, I'm sure we can win everything out there. Everything.
I remember at the time, myself and Marcus and the team were in a cellar bar in Spain discussing what rider to get. A few months later, they came to this pub and they said, well, actually, we've signed Aaron Gwyn. Now, at the time, Aaron Gwyn was actually the only rider they could have signed to guarantee a World Cup win. And he was a person who was rocking the sport like no other rider at the time. And he went on to endorse YT like no other rider, I guess. Yep, Gwyn certainly was quite a signing for YT. But folks, this really is quite a bike. As you can see, there's coil shock on this, but you have the option of having air as well. But when we talk about the e-bike system, the Fazua Ride 60, as you expect, it has 60 Nm of torque, and in full power mode delivers 450 watts peak power, which is actually slightly higher than many of the mid to lower torque bikes. The great thing about Fazua is they were actually one of the pioneers to these compact systems. I love the way the bike is set out. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the 430 watt-hour down tube battery here. And if you look up at the handlebar now, the ring remote on here is really, nice and simple. You can control that super punch high power mode on that ring remote. And if you want the information as to the mode or battery level, you've got the LED remote on the top tube. So like I said, super simple. Well, actually, can I have a pint of stateside, please, Chad? Nice one. Actually, that reminds me, Jeffsy. Now, right, where do I begin with Jeffsy? Right, YT back around about the time there was a few 29-inch, 140mm travel bikes around. They wanted to equal that and improve it, so they made a 140mm travel 29-inch wheel flying machine. And, can I put on the tab, please? Cheers. They came here to the Ostrich in Newland and they brought out this prototype 29-inch wheel bike, and I thought, wow, you've done that in such a short space of time. But we were in here, I was in here with Marcus and Stefan and the team. Stefan Willerhead on my left, Marcus Blossman on my right. Okay. Guys, low price doesn't necessarily mean low performance, is it, right?
What do you mean with low price?
And they were like, well, we got the bike, but we kind of need a name for it. And I was like, well, don't look at me. And they said, well, we need you to give us a name. So obviously more beers, more late nights, more bike talk. And they said, oh, we need something which is involved in the trails. I said, well, you mean like a trail builder? I said, well, there's plenty. There's Jeffsy down the road. And Jeffsy is a real person who builds the trails locally, or he gives big talk about building trails. And he said that, and Mark said, that's it. We're going to call the bike Jeffsy. And literally a few months later, Christopher Walken was talking about the Jeffsy in a library somewhere in America. Incredible. Okay, details. If you want more Jeffsy stories, come and join us for a pint at the Ostrich. Right, Decoy SN is the subject. Ultra-modulus carbon, which takes a real battering. After all, this is a gravity bike. You've got adjustable geometry. There's a flip chip which is integrated into the shock yoke there. 64 head tube angle, 78-degree seat tube angle, 344 on the bottom bracket, and 442 on the chainstay. And I want to draw your attention to the cable routing. Beautiful cable routing on this bike. You can see the bottom of the seat tube there and also on the head tube. I mean, people talk about motors that rattle, when in actual fact, a lot of the time, it's the cables rattling in the down tube or on the chainstay. As you can see here, there's some fantastic protection on the chainstay, beautiful protection in the down tube area there. So a fantastic all-round package, which looks at the details as well. So a bike which is truly built for shredding. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Pugh behind the handlebar. Right, folks, the creamy points are calling from the pub. But one final piece of detail, which I really need to talk about. Fox 38 grip 2 damper up front and a Fox DHX2 coil on the back. Crank Brothers Synthesis e-bike wheel set and the mighty Maven brakes. As I said, this bike has been built for descending. 220 rotor up front and a 200mm on the rear. And the tyres, we've got the slightly softer compound Continental Cryptal at the front and slightly harder compound tyre at the back. The step. This is the step. Lots has happened on this step. Can't go into that.